this bad mofo, okay? And I saw that he had this soft, vulnerable side, and so I put that on display online.
What were projects that at that time that you were working on that led you into this? I don't want to say steamroll, but of where you had this nice run of movies.
It was this French Foreign Legion project I was working on. I called it Legionnaire, and I'd actually pitched it to Paramount and a few other people, and Paramount actually wanted to make a deal. They actually wanted to do this movie. And then Sly comes along, and he wants to do it also, but he already had an idea for a French Foreign Legion movie. So I ended up making a deal with him, with his company. It was, as I recall, it was like a 3-picture deal, and I ended up writing two films for this company, which is White Eagle Entertainment.
Well, let me ask you this. So Legionnaire, though. So Legionnaire was 1998. Was that the same movie with Jean-Claude?
No. I could not get this French Foreign Legion out of my head. I love this idea of a French Foreign Legion movie. In fact, when I first met Jean-Claude, we started talking. We hit it off also. We started talking about things that we could do together, and I told him, the French Foreign Legion is a perfect arena for you because you got the accent, and they have a reputation of being these badasses. They've been in conflicts all around the world. That would be a good character for you to play. Would be a French Foreign Legionnaire, and so we did that in Lionheart. Actually, in Lionheart, he's a French Foreign Legionnaire at the beginning, and he goes AWOL because he has to help his sister-in-law. So
by the way, I love that movie. By the way, I had a VHS of that. Me and my buddy, and I think we made that not DVD, but that VHS tape was done working. We rewinded, played again.
You wore it out, right, yeah.
And
people, that's happened with a lot of people with Bloodsport also, and Lionheart. People played those VHSs so many times that they eventually they just fell apart. They got frayed. The emulsion came off of the tape. So
what I loved about Lionheart, man? The thing about Lionheart that I think, looking back on it, that stuck with me, and I can still watch it today, was it had, I know it's in the title, Lionheart, but it had heart within the film. Like there was a lot of very vulnerable moments,
right,
also with strength, and that was such a cool element that you played on, I think, in your movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I had met Jean-Claude, and this is actually after he had shot Bloodsport. And like I said, we hit it off right away. So I got to know him pretty well. And so I saw this soft, vulnerable side to him. And I put that on display in Lionheart because people weren't using him for roles like that. He was generally this badass who would kick everyone's ass in the arena, or in prison, like in Death Warrant. He was this bad mofo, okay? And I saw that he had this soft, vulnerable side, and so I put that on display in Lionheart. And also gave him a lot of dialogue in Lionheart because producers were hesitant to give him too much dialogue because they figured he couldn't handle it. He's basically a martial arts guy. He does kicking and punching. When it comes to dialogue, just give him some very simple lines that he can say. And he's got a terrible accent. There are a number of reasons to keep him in the choppy sake world. And I was pretty much the first one who took him out of that arena and gave him a real dramatic role to play with some soft, vulnerable moments, as well as some badass moments where he's kicking ass. So that pretty much changed the trajectory of his career. Like Lionheart was the movie that really made him take off. Prior to Lionheart, his movies were being released by small, low-budget companies like Cannon and King's Road. And with Lionheart, there was no distribution for it up front. There were some foreign buyers that had bought it because it's based on Bloodsport, No Retreat, No Surrender. They figured they could open this movie. but there was no distributor in the U.S. for Lionheart, and then we managed to get it to one of the executives at Universal, a guy named Jim Jacks, who went on to become a very prestigious producer, produced the Mummy movies and other movies like that. And Jim saw the movie, and he took it to the big shots at Universal. They liked the movie, and before you know it, Universal is saying, we want to distribute this in the U.S. and Canada. So that was the movie that really propelled him into the big leagues, was Lionheart. Because it was Universal Pictures, opened on, I forgot how many screens in the U.S. It was quite a few, maybe around 1,000 screens. I'm not sure what the number was, but it really propelled him into a whole new category. And then immediately after that, he and I made Double Impact, and that was for Columbia TriStar. Again, big release all over the U.S., and that really solidified his position as a bona fide international movie star.
Yeah. You know what I noticed about your movies too, man? And I don't know if you did this intentionally, but you had a lot of diversity back then in your characters and in the people you would pick. Like you were over in this country, like, or you're in Hong Kong, or you're in, like you said, you have some French characters. And this is like a U.S. movie. This is a U.S. movie, but you got like a French lead, and it like worked so well. I don't know how you did that, but it worked, man.
Also, I wasn't following any rules, but my movies were very diverse as far as the cast, as far as the characters. You know, nowadays they make such an issue about diversity. Okay, you can't make a movie with just white people. You got to get some black people in there. You got to get some Asians in there. But I was doing that before any of these rules were in place. You know, like Only the Strong has got a very diverse cast, and you know, same with Lionheart. Double Impact, well, we had a lot of Asians in there because it took place in Hong Kong. But otherwise, my movies were generally very diverse as far as cast. And yeah, there was not a sameness to them. You know, I had, like Double Impact, that was Hong Kong. The Lionheart was basically all over LA. Well, that was my first feature film. But then I did Only the Strong, from Vietnam to Van Damme. Which pretty much describes my adult life, because I was I joined the Marines when I was 18.